You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls, an unofficial Disney theme parks podcast, and this is show number 252, the Sunday, the 17th of March, 2019.
Where dreams begin.
Hello and welcome to the Disney Dream Girls. My name is Michelle Young, and together with my good friend Jane Phipps, we are your guides to the place where dreams begin. Well, before I start this week's show, I'd like to give a big old shout out to one or two people. Firstly, Miss Becca 5571, Flag Lady 614, Caitlin M25, Alict 929, Nurse Henderson 50, Jen D, and Disney Dits 87. Thank you so much for the wonderful iTunes reviews. Very much warmed the cockles of our hearts being able to read that. If you'd also like to do the same and leave us an iTunes review, why not pop on over to iTunes, give it a little bit of search for Disney Dream Girls? We'd be really grateful for one of those reviews. So without further ado, I'd like to get on with This Week in Disney History. On this day, 18th of March, 1858, Keppel Disney married Mary Richardson. 1 year later, Elias Disney was born, the father of our much-loved Walt. Let's move on to 1967, and Pirates of the Caribbean opened in New Orleans Square in Disneyland. There was a parade of sea dogs led by Wally Bogue, and the Blue Bayou also opened on this day. In 1989, 150 visitors on this day were stranded a staggering 40 foot in the air from the swinging gondolas. Why did they stop, I hear you cry? Guests were rocking the gondolas. Well, let's hope history doesn't repeat itself with the new Skyliners coming online very, very soon. Let's move on a day, 19th of March, 1948, and Disney released Mickey Down Under, all along with boomerangs and emus and all sorts of Australian fun. I'm sure our friends down under, Kat and Lewis, would enjoy this one. Let's move now to the 20th of March, 1958. Holly Hunter, aka the voice of Elastigirl, was born in Georgia. Hop, skip and a jump to 23rd of March, 1969, and over in Disneyland, 101 Volkswagen Beetles paraded down Main Street to promote the film The Love Bug. Have you seen it? Did you enjoy it? But you know what? The highlight of On This Week in Disney History happened in the year 2000, 23rd of March. My much-loved son, the wonderful Kieran, was born. Anyway, that's it for this week on Disney History. We'll be back next week. This week, I have the wonderful intrepid traveller, Becky Manion, back on the Disney Dream Girls. Hello, Becky.
Hi, Michelle. Hi, everyone.
Awesome to have you back, my lovely.
Thank you for having me again.
You are always welcome. You are our favourite Dream Girl guest.
Thank you.
You've been on your travels, lovey, and that's what we're here to talk about today, but also to look ahead to the next travel, because knowing Becky, there'll be something else planned.
Very true.
I know these things. You don't hide anything from me, Miss Manion. I know it all.
I know. Maybe because I text you as well.
Well, yes, I know. And we've both got this bug about Disney, and everything's got to be Disney at the moment. But hey-ho, let's look back to your last cruise. It was the 5-day on the Disney Magic with a Marvel Day at Sea. Did you arrive in the USA prior to your trip, and what did you do first? Because I know what you did, but tell all our lovely listeners how you had the build-up to the cruise first.
So this one was actually out of Miami because of the Magic was my last ship, so I was a bit restricted with dates and itineraries. When I was looking at flights last year, flying into Miami was more expensive for some reason. Because obviously I'd booked the cruise, so I was, again, restricted with dates. So I looked at Orlando, because obviously we know it and we're a bit more comfy. And we ended up flying into Orlando and doing a mini road trip down to Miami. So we had I think it was 4 or 5 days before the cruise. So we had a few stops along the way on a few beaches, and a few other lists or ticks off my list were crossed. And then after, we had a few more days going up the other side of the coast back to Orlando. So it was a road trip and a cruise in one.
Fabulous stuff. And you stayed at a new Disney hotel.
I did. So on the way down, obviously once we worked out our route, I realised we would be passing Vero Beach Resort. So that happened as well.
So tell us all about Vero Beach. Does it have that Disney feel?
A little bit. Which one does it? It reminded me a little bit maybe of the Yacht and Beach Club, in the sense that it felt quite nautical. Like there was the wooden floors, and the lobby was, I think, about 3 stories. It was very open plan. So it wasn't actually that far. I think it was only about an hour and a half away from Disney. Mm-hmm. We checked in, and the cast member was lovely. She was asking us about where we'd been and stuff. And we said it was our first time. So she insisted on giving us first time badges. I was like, I will take one of those. It was only a Walt Disney World one, which was strange. I thought I was going to get some special one. She was upset that we was only there one day, but obviously because we was doing the road trip. Mm-hmm. I think we got there quite late because we'd done a little bit of shopping on the way down and just had a few stops and kind of relaxed. We had a room, it was just a standard view room because obviously we was only there one day, but obviously you can choose to overlook the sea. So if you imagine the lobby around the inside had the corridor, so we was kind of actually staying in the lobby. So once I opened my front door, I could look down into the lobby. I think we were maybe the second floor up. It just felt quite local and easy for everything. Once we got our room, which they've all been refurbed, my mum stayed there maybe 2 years ago. She said the rooms were horrendous, really old fashioned. So when I sent her, I think the video I sent you, she was like, oh, they've really changed them, and it felt really modern and clean. And it's a little kitchenette in there as well. So we had the whole fridge, coffee machine, microwave, etc. Mm-hmm. We went and had a nose round, obviously. So if you imagine, it's you go in at the front, so the back's facing the sea. So you can walk straight through the lobby and out the back. And then if you went to the left and the right, if you imagine, go all the way along. And they had these, they were so cute. They were little cottages you could hire. Mm-hmm. And they were all named after different turtles. So it's Leatherhead Back College or Cottage. And they look so nice. I wanted to be nosy so much. But I think maybe if you were staying there, for a few weeks or had a bigger family, they were so cute. So they had a fire pit at one end where they said they did nightly things. There was different activities going on. They had, a little leaflet in the lobby saying what was happening at what one time. There was a pool there with a slide. They had, at the grab and go restaurants at the Disney Resort. So they had the sandwiches and the cupcakes. They also had Dole Whip there, which I was ooh, Disney touch. And then they also had a full sit-down restaurant which we had breakfast in. And then in the end, we spent the evening in the lounge because they had a live performer there. So we just got some picky bits and chilled in there. And it was that felt quite luxurious. It was quite dark wood and again felt quite nautical. And that was upstairs in the lobby. So again, when you walked out, the balcony overlooked the sea. I think they said they did special a little hour mimosa thing on one of the Sundays, but we were there during the week. So I think you could literally watch something about the sunrise and have a mimosa or something. But there was obviously different things to do. And then sadly I didn't get over, but she said in the car park there was a walkthrough and it went underneath the main road and went across the other side. And there was loads of other activities, like a tennis court, maybe volleyball, and a few other sports. But because obviously it was only there one night, I forgot to go look in the morning. But I'm really glad I went there, and I can say I've been there and had a little nose around and eat there and have a little tick, really.
I think it's a lovely looking resort right on the Atlantic coast with the beach. It looks fabulous.
Yeah, it definitely had that chilled vibe. And there wasn't, I know it sounds silly, but it didn't feel like there was that many kids there. There was families, but it wasn't an all-star resort, if you know what I mean. It just felt just say the average age was a bit older than normal Disney, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, a bit of a downer, but okay, what happened next?
Again, we just carried on down to Miami. We stayed in an Airbnb at another beach a bit further down. And then we stayed in Miami for 2 days. So I've been to Miami now.
Have you sailed out of Miami before?
No, this was our first time sailing out of Miami.
So what's the cruise terminal like?
Because we'd had a car hire, but obviously we had to drop the car off, so we got an Uber there. Literally just pulled up right outside, which was lovely. And I was expecting us to take our cases around all day, and someone was like, "Do you want me to take your case? Like, have you got your luggage labels?" I literally just took them from us. I was like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll deliver them later." I was like, "Oh, okay, that worked out." So the actual, like, Miami port was ginormous. I don't know how many ships were there that day, but obviously I don't think it was like a proper Disney terminal. There was lots of bits up. We actually got there a bit early, so we had to end up waiting. And then, because obviously I was like, I think I'm a silver castaway, we didn't have to go in the ginormous queue, because it seemed like it was a lot of people's first time cruising, because that queue was quite big. First time as well, I was actually asked to prove my ESTA or my visa. And I was like, I've never had that paperwork before. I've never been asked for it. She was like, well, do you know when it expired? And luckily I'd looked it up a couple of days before, so I knew the exact date. Never in my life have I been asked to prove my actual ESTA. And especially as I'm already in the country, I was like, oh dear, I'm not going to have to go on this cruise because I don't have a piece of paper. But she was like, no, it's fine. So they were, you get the whole lanyard and signing in. And then, when you go into the bit where you wait for your, like, group to be called, we've never actually waited because we've always got there a bit later. Absolutely, like, no chairs. So we just sat on the floor, and then they were handing out that day's navigator. So I went and got one of those, and they're playing, like, Disney music, and it felt like a bit more Disney in there. And then once your group was called, you kind of, like, went up some escalators and went round this massively long corridor, then another one, and then onto the ship. But the bit that was really disappointing for me, especially if it was your first ship, you kind of went on, so the others, you kind of go straight in and you walk into the ground floor of the lobby, and then you're just in the lobby, and it's that first, like, oh my god.
Yeah, that big moment with the chandeliers and the staff, and
This bit, you walked in, I'd say it was like deck 4, so where the lifts are. Then they like turned you off left because they'd cut it off. So then you walked halfway around, like the balcony bit on the middle part of the lobby. And then they had the little, just two people saying you're like, welcome to the ship with your name. And then you walked round. So it felt like when you were coming on, it was a slight disappointment. But obviously...
Bit of a damp balloon, that one.
Yeah, and then I remember I was reading something after, because I did one of the surveys, and they were asking about the Miami cruise ship. And then I think on the tour I did, I'm sure they said that they had feedback before about it's less than Disney-fied at the Miami port. So obviously people had noticed that it's not as different. But obviously once you're on the ship and you've done that whole bit, you're like, whatever, I forgot about that. So, but I think if my first one, I'd been like, oh, but at least I've done the other, so I know what those ones feel like.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the Disney Magic.
So the Disney Magic is the sister ship to the Disney Wonder. So it is the smaller one, which is fine, because obviously it's only a 5-night cruise. So I didn't want to feel like I was like rushing again, like I was on the Dream for the 3 days. We'd booked another room with a veranda, which is fine. And this time it went for a slightly cheaper option. It was called a Navigator veranda. Honestly, we actually think it was nicer than the other one because it felt a bit more private and contained. So obviously it's supposed to be restricted. So instead of having the whole balcony, you can lean on. This one actually had like a porthole.
Oh, yeah, that's the Navigator one, which is what I did last year on the Fantasy.
Yeah, we loved it because it had like a whole like leather seating bench, which took up the whole balcony, but then you still had the chair and table, and we actually preferred it. Still got a view of the sea, so I'm not fussed if I've got a balcony, really. So anyone, if you're really not fussed but you still want a balcony, go for a Navigator's one and save just that little bit, and you still got a balcony. I mean, we had no issues.
Fab top tip there, Becky.
I know. So we got on. We went to Cabanas because we were starving. Did the whole first mad, crazy buffet. When everyone's just running around like looking lost with like lanyards and not knowing what food to get or anything. And then after that craziness, I was like, let's just go to the adult bit and chill for a little bit. It just feels like so much quieter, and obviously because the ship still wasn't actually full. I think it was only about 1. It was just really quiet, so we just sat on some deck chairs and had you just need that moment to be like, oh, okay, I'm on here now, the rush is over. Been looking forward to this since last May, so we had to go to the drill that day, which is mandatory. I wish some people knew that as well. I mean, it's really not that hard to turn up when they ask you to do it. I mean, seriously, every time people are like late and they're all like, oh, what, we're supposed to come to this? What, our whole room has to come?
Research, people. Do some research. Find out about these cruises.
And it's like, it's for your own safety. I mean, honestly, if you're on a cruise ship and something goes wrong, they're going to be the first ones like, I didn't know what to do.
I'm sorry, I want to know what to do when I'm on a cruise
Exactly.
ship. I've seen Titanic. I want to know where the lifeboats are. I want to know where my life vest is. I want the band to be playing as I am lowered into my wonderful little lovely lifeboat.
Yeah, some people are just so casual about it. It's like, it's not even that long out of your entire cruise. Come on now. We went back to the room and like had a shower.
Tell me a little bit about the dining rotation on the ship, because I gather there's a new eatery there. That sounds pretty zhuzhy.
Yeah, so I was a bit disappointed because I did really want to go to this one twice. So Rapunzel's royal table was on this ship, which obviously had been done after Tiana, so it's in the same sort of theme. In our 5 nights, we only did dine there once, which I was upset about because, it's Rapunzel. And I think I had to wait maybe 4 nights before we got there.
Wow.
I know, I was really upset. And I would have loved to have gone to the restaurant on the day that they showed the show as well. So you'd have like a whole Rapunzel night. The show was really good, by the way. I may have cried a little bit.
Well, we'll come back to the shows. Let's just stay with the restaurant. What was the food like?
So the most disappointing night was the last night for us, but I think we worked out why. It was the Marvel Day, and they just said they was in a rush, so you had to choose your starter, main and dessert all at once because they knew everyone wanted to go to the top deck. So it was just a lot of choice, and it wasn't as good. Pirate Night was really good. That was like very like tropical themed, and I had like a side of plantain with like my fish and my black beans, puddings. I had 2 puddings, not gonna lie. They was amazing. One of them was like a macadamia nut cheesecake, and the other one was like banana cake bread pudding or something. And I was like, I have to try both. And they were like, yeah, of course, that's fine. That was like, the pudding was just like, oh my God, for me. I had to go back to brunch at Paolo's. Trying to think of like my favourite meals.
What was the brunch like at Paolo? Is it a comparable experience to the bigger ships?
Yeah, do you know what? I had like no problems with it. And also they gave me, as they said, a refund because I'd booked it online. Because, we discussed that the pricing has gone up now. And I said to Luke, I just got in. And then they gave me the receipt and they were like, oh, you have a discount because you booked it online. It isn't. It's because I booked it before they changed the prices. They literally put on the receipt online booking. So it has gone up to the $40 each now.
Wow.
But if I'm honest, I think I still would pay that. Like, the amount of food you get is ridiculous. And he even said at one point, do you have kids? We were like, no. And he was like, I'll stay as long as you like. But it was Marvel Day at Sea, so I couldn't stay as long as I liked because, I had a massive day that day. A few cocktails of the day, which I'm veering off now. I'm not really liking them anymore. So I went with wine. Do you know what? I still didn't have an ice cream on the ship. Oh, I had my Mickey bar ice cream. I had that delivered for room service. That was quite unusual. Pulling away from Castaway Key, eating a Mickey Mouse ice cream bar on our balcony was lovely.
That's just everything a dream cruise is made out of.
Oh, I got my first popcorn. When you go to the show and you can do the upcharge of the popcorn. Every time we went, I was like, oh, it smells so good. I want some popcorn this time. I'm going to go and buy some popcorn. I sat down. I went to eat my popcorn. It's salted.
Ugh.
Sweet popcorn rules. And it smells amazing. And I was like, oh.
Aww.
So disappointed with my $3 popcorn.
So what shows did you see? I know you hinted at them earlier.
So Tangled was like the big show because that's the only show on that ship.
Mm-hmm.
So that's unique. One of them I'd seen on the Dream already. There was a day when they didn't have a Disney show and it was like a variety act.
Oh, yeah.
They were quite good. We saw that one and then the next day we went and saw them in the adult one. But the Rapunzel show is the one that stood out for me really because it was the best one. And then because I'd already seen one of them, you're not as into it because you already know how it's going to end and stuff. So it didn't feel as special. It was Dreams and apparently it's won the award for the best show ever on a ship or something. And then the Marvel Day at Sea, they didn't have a show like that because there was little things going out throughout the day. And that was the day they had the big show at the deck, so that didn't have a show either. But again, because it was 5 days, I guess they didn't have to do as much, do they? So all about Rapunzel this time, I think.
Sounds good to me. What other highlights did you have on the cruise? I know on the bigger ships they've got those wonderful water-type activities. Is there one on this ship?
Oh my goodness, I don't know the name of it, but it looked terrifying. So it was quite high up, like you walked up the funnel or like round the back of the funnel, and then it kind of hung out over the side of it, and it looked like it dropped vertically and then like went round. So like we stood and watched a little bit, and it looked really, really scary. I actually was like, I'm not trying that. And then when I went on my tour, he was explaining when they put that on, because of the way it was, they had to actually add a bit more length to the ship to balance the weight of the slide out. I don't know if I've got a picture, if I could send it to you, but you're looking at it like, yeah, I don't really like water parks or water slides. And when I saw that first drop, I was like, no, not for me. But I can't remember the name of it. I'll send you a picture so you can see the beginning bit of what I mean, so then you can show everyone.
Fab stuff. Anything else that was a highlight of the cruise? You've mentioned Marvel Day at Sea. Tell us about that.
When I was booking it, I was just like really interested in doing the magic. And then when I was looking at the dates, and I had to go from Miami to get the magic, and then I was like, hang on a minute, there's a Marvel Day. I've done a Star Wars Day. I might as well just I think I moved it back back into February to go on the Marvel Day. I'm glad I did. I think they've listened and improved on the Star Wars Day, because I was like really busy that day. So we had the the navigator the day before, and we literally sat down and looked at everything properly we wanted to do. We actually did get up early, and we went to like an origin show. That was a bit let down because it was ridiculous. Everyone knows everyone's origins, but we thought we was going to learn something new. We went to a talk. It was called Meet the Master, and they never announce who's going to be on the ship until you're there. And the one when we was on, I'm going to proper mess up this guy's surname. He was called Ryan Mendoing, and he was like super high up in Marvel as like an artist. So like he'd worked basically on Iron Man from the beginning, obviously before this Marvel hit huge, had another job, and then like went back to Marvel. So he literally was opposite Jon Favreau working. He's been there like literally since the beginning, and like even some of his drawings have been in the film. So like, when something's been sketched out as an idea, that's his actual drawing.
Wow.
And he was doing like a talk. It was only, I think, maybe a half hour. And obviously he had the project, like it was in the Walt Disney Theatre. And as he was talking, he was showing stuff he'd worked on. He's done loads. Like he actually helped come up with the design of the first Iron Man suit when he's in the cave. And he designed like Captain America's like cap now. Just honestly, so much. The more he said, the more people were like, oh my God, wow. So that was really cool. I saw quite a few characters, which isn't really I'm about, but I did. So when I booked the brunch on the online, it's kind of like the My Disney app, but for the cruise, there was an option to book some character meets for Marvel Day. And I was like, I'll just book them just in case, because with Star Wars, that just was so wrong. So I booked them not knowing who I was going to meet. I ended up booking Groot, which by the way, amazing. Like one of the best costumes I've ever seen. He was like 6 foot tall and ginormous, and it was just really good. And then the other one I booked was called like Marvel Academy or something, but you didn't know who it was. And then when you went into a room, it was actually Spider-Man, Black Panther, and Iron Man, like all in one hit. So you literally queued up, spoke to Iron Man, had a picture, went around, had a picture. So you got 3 in a row. Iron Man, amazing. I actually think they stole Robert Downey Jr.'s voice, or someone very similar. Like, I actually could have been like, yeah, Robert Downey Jr.'s in there. Spider-Man was hilarious. We were talking. He was like, do I detect an accent? Like, are you guys from England? And we were like, yeah. And he was like, oh, I go there. I've gone there on my school trip recently, which obviously is in the new film. And he was like, oh, do you want me to do my best British accent? And we were like, yeah, go on then. He was like, hello, mate. Do you want a cup of tea? And then he was trying to get us to do an American accent, and I was saying no. I also queued to meet Loki and Captain Marvel, so I got quite a few in that one day. There was a show they kept saying don't miss, and it was on 3 times. It was Doctor Strange. We went to that, but it was totally for the little kids, so we were really disappointed in that. We went to a Star Spangled USO show, which was all music from the 30s and 40s, like the first Captain America. So the girls was all in like little petticoats, and then they were like kind of doing those old show songs and stuff. That was really cool. And then that night was the Marvel Heroes Unite show, which is what they kept advertising as the biggest Marvel characters all in one place ever type thing. And they were all there. Like, we went and stood up at the deck to get a good viewing because I would kind of miss the Star Wars one because I was so small. So we stayed up there for half hour. They had like all of them there, and it was like a proper show. That was really good. I liked it. There was quite a few things going on. Like you probably couldn't have done it all. Like even if you got up early and went to bed late, there was obviously things going on at the same time. So you did have to choose what you wanted to do. But there was a lot on, and obviously it felt really busy that day because obviously the kids weren't in the kids clubs because everyone was just running around like crazy trying to do all these meets and stuff. And the characters that you couldn't book, like say Loki and Captain Marvel, Hawkeye, Star-Lord and Gamora, they would just be kind of, like a normal one, it'd be like, oh, they're here at this place from this time to this time, and then you just go and queue up. So you could literally just see like Black Widow walking past on the way to her bit when you get out of the lift or something, and like people like chasing after them. And it was really weird how they did the shop. So when it was Star Wars Day at Sea, they had the Star Wars stuff like on like a display the entire time. So obviously when you got on there, you could just buy stuff. And then I was obviously looking for the Marvel stuff on the first day. And I was like, it's just so strange. It's just like, there's nothing here. What is going on? And then I'd actually listened to a different podcast before, and I was kind of being a bit nosy when I was paying for something. And she actually went downstairs to a little tiny weenie shop in like the adults only bit by the lounges. And that was all of the Marvel stuff. So it's like they'd kept it separate.
Oh, wow. But you didn't know about it?
No, it was kind of like a bit weird. So I was speaking to them and I was like, and it was empty, honestly. It was just me and 2 cast members in there. And I was like, just people like know this is here. And they were like, they take a while to find out it's here. And they were like, if you want something, buy it now. Because on Marvel Day at Sea, the queue's out the door. It was like fully stocked. It was a teeny weeny shop. But it just felt weird that you almost had to find the shop. Because the kids wouldn't really be there because it was at the front of the ship with the lounges. So it was just, I don't know, that setup felt quite weird. I just thought they would have had it upstairs, like a big display of everything. So I bought a Marvel Day at Sea t-shirt. They also put a runner on the bed, and I'm guessing I could keep it because we actually came back to the room to change and he took it out of a plastic wrapper. And then we came back that night and we had Thor's hammer as our towel origami thing that night. The runner was still there, so I took that.
I've seen them do that for the Christmas ones as well, and I do believe it's part and parcel of it, so good on you.
Yeah, it's obviously like a proper 100% nylon, but I was like, yeah, take it now. And obviously it's light, isn't it, to like put in a suitcase.
Honey, I'd have been leaving it wrapped round my body on the ship, I tell you.
This is mine!
Stick it up, put my coat on top, I'll be fine, I'll just waddle
no
off.
one will notice.
Yeah, no one will notice, it's fine.
And then dinner that night, the menu was like a comic book.
Cool.
So yeah, that was a really cool day. Other highlights, I really liked Key West. I obviously didn't think I would ever go there because it's just like quite far down, isn't it, in Florida. Obviously I loved that I did another ship. I got to do the last tour. Oh, and one of my favourite bits, I'm sorry this is so sad, but I was so excited, okay?
Go on.
We went to the adults bit on the Rapunzel night and they were doing a Snuggly Duckling takeover of the adults pub. And as we walked to go in, obviously all the guys are like dressed up trying to stop you going in. As I was talking to another cast member looked at me and was like, oh, they can come in, I vouch for them, I've met you before. He recognised me from last year's cruise.
No way.
Yeah, an English guy who I'd done the tour with and obviously had talked to a few times last March, come up to me, saw me and was like, oh my God, give me a hug. Was it this ship we went on? Oh, Wonder. I was like, the Wonder? I literally was like buzzing like I met a celebrity, and Luke was like, oh my God. And I was like, he recognised me from a year ago. And then we bumped into our table mates at the pub, and he was like, when did you go on the ship? I was like, a year ago. And he's like, imagine how many cruises he's been on and how many people he's seen in that time. And he just remembered you. I was like, I know.
That is astounding.
I know. Mad, right?
Wow. We need to give you a big round of applause, Becky, because I gather this last cruise makes it a bit of an achievement for you.
Yeah, it's a total bucket list tick.
All 4 cruise ships. You need a t-shirt.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I've done all 4 cruise ships. So How do you feel out of all the cruise ships that you've been on now, out of the 4 Disney ones? Is this it? Is your experience with cruising done? Or which is the best one? Tell me everything.
So I would happily go on another one, like tomorrow. I would have no problems. So obviously going to have different shows, different things to do, different itineraries, different stops. I genuinely love cruising now. I love that we can just look at sea at any time. Like, it feels so calm and relaxing. I love the fact that you get to go to different countries and you get back on a ship and like go and have a nice dinner and a show. It feels like a night out every night. Like, I love the rooms. I love that every time we've gone, we've been sat with other adults with no kids. So we've immediately got like a different bond. Obviously, I would love to go on the 3 new ships, but it seems to be taking forever to build them. Yeah, I would definitely go on another one if I had the option or anything at all. I would say, do you know, I like the fantasy, but I don't know if it's because that was my first ship. So I feel like I had like a different feeling about that one. And because they are the bigger ones, that lobby is so grand. With the 2 staircases, and when you first go in, it's like, oh my God, this is so glamorous. So then when I went to a smaller ship after that, obviously it's nicer to get around and get back to your room because it is that much smaller. But then it has a few less things on it, obviously, like, you know, the game, the midship detective agency. But then I love the themed restaurants. I think they're amazing. Like Tiana's or Rapunzel's, I think they've done really well on the smaller ships. And I think they're actually going to put them on the new ones because people love them. Like the girl on the table with us, she was like, I had no interest in cruising or anything. I've come here for Rapunzel's restaurant. Like, that was why she was there. She was like, obviously now they were there, they loved it and they wanted to go on another one. But I think that's a really big selling point, and I think they do quite well. He told it when we went on the tour, he told us a little bit. It's like the ships are going to be a bit bigger than the Fantasy and the Dream, but less people, or the same amount of people, because he said that's the constant feedback, is it feels like there's too many people, because obviously on the smaller ships it kind of doesn't feel like that. And Castaway Cay does feel a little bit calmer without that mega amount of people. I love cruising. It's just, I love it. If I could do Walt Disney World and cruise just all at the same time, I don't know, like, obviously looked at the new itineraries, but I don't know, I just couldn't choose. Even if you were like, okay, here's some money. Actually, I really like the look of the Southern Caribbean one, if I'm honest. But that's just ridiculous because it's once a year.
Wouldn't you ever be tempted, though, to do a transatlantic one where you're on board for such a long time?
I would, but I know my partner wouldn't, because he's like, what do you do that entire time? Like, if it's a week at sea and there's like no rest, like what activities do they put on that's slightly different? Because surely there's only so much you could do on the ship, you know, like once you've eaten and seen the shows and done a few bits during the day. I don't know, like if it was like an option and that was what I was going to do, I would do it. And I think if you had some really good table mates and you could meet up with them,
true,
and like do through things with them and stuff. And do you know what we've never really done is chilled at the pool in the day. Like, and I know obviously they'd be doing, I don't know, I suppose they must put so much more on in that week, right? Like, I'd love to see the navigator of what's offered during those days.
Well, maybe one of our listeners that's listening right now who's done the transatlantic could let us know.
Oh yeah, and imagine you must be like best mates with the cast members by the time that ends.
Everything about it, it's just, you know, I'm thinking about the cruise that I've got booked, and I'm thinking, do you know what, I'm not even interested getting off the ship. I just want to stay on board and enjoy it and just relax, and who cares where you go to? One
of the cast members was saying Nassau is the one where most people decide to stay on because it has to stop there so much. Most of the repeat cruises have been like, I've done it, I don't need to get off, so a lot of people stay on for that stop.
That makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So where in the world are you travelling to next, lovey?
It's Walt Disney World.
When and where? Come on, give us the details.
It's actually next month now. It's hit March, surprisingly. So
Wow.
I know it's actually flown by. That's been booked since September. It's a very grown-up trip this time, going with just my mum and dad. So we're gonna, I hope, hit the lounges. I'm staying at the Grand Floridian.
Oh my word.
First time for me. They've all stayed there before a few years ago when I didn't actually go because I had another trip booked that year. So I'm actually staying there for the first time ever. So very excited about ticking another resort off my list. Got a few tours booked, obviously. I've got a flower and garden one booked at Epcot, which is about 4 hours.
Ooh.
So they take you around all the countries and flower and garden and say how they help that. I have got the rhino one booked at Animal Kingdom.
Sounds amazing.
And then for my dad's birthday, which was last year, I paid for mine and his, and then my mum's paid for hers, is that Savour the Savannah, the nighttime one.
Ooh.
So I just thought that, because obviously it's just us 3 adults, I thought it might be a bit of like a different trip. Last week was Fast Pass Day. Very excited that I have got Slinky Dog, which I booked twice, and I got a Flight of Passage twice, and then everything else I wasn't majorly fussed over, but, you know, take some wall pictures, do some lounges, very chill. Oh, and brunch at California Grill's booked.
Oh, give you a big high five for that, lovey.
I know, that was I was like, I don't care about any reservation I make, I just want that one. And my dad was like, yeah, I agree. Everything else was just a bonus.
I gather you're going to be in Walt Disney World the same time as our good friends from Dis Down Under, Kat and Lewis.
Yeah, I think they're out last week, didn't we?
I am so... It's got to happen.
I know, I should give her my number and get her to message me. I've already made plans with a friend I've made on Instagram. We're spending a whole day in Magic together. So for the second year running, we're going the exact same date. But last year I couldn't meet up because I obviously had the cruise booked and I was with all the family. And then we messaged each other. And then I said when I was going, and she was like, are you joking? That's the exact same dates I'm going. So I was like, if this happens, we have to meet up 2 years in a row with the exact same dates. I mean, what are the chances? So
Fate.
Yeah, she messaged me and was like, right, you're my holiday twin, so we're going to have a day in Magic.
Sounds absolutely fabulous. Oh, I can't wait to hear back from this trip you're going on. It sounds brilliant.
I know, I'm excited about this one. Like, you know, when obviously people think of Disney, they have that assumption of, oh, it's like Dumbo rides and characters in your face. But, like, I don't have to meet one character in that 2 weeks if I don't want to. I'm staying at, like, a top hotel. I've got nice restaurants booked where I want to get dressed up and make a thing of it. And I'm going to go to lounges and have a few cocktails and do trips and learn stuff. So it's not like it isn't a kid place. Obviously, we all know that. But I feel like this one that I'm going on is going to be very much for us and just chill out a bit more and not feel like I have to rush everywhere.
Any chance of squeezing me in your room?
Yeah, do you want probably a spare room in my bed?
I'm sure it's half-term holidays for us in April. I'll just squeeze over for a week.
Okay, yeah. I'll message you the flight details and I'll see you there.
Awesome stuff. But I'm stunned, Becky. You've nothing further than this booked. It's not like you.
I know, just because obviously the cruise was such a big one and I've been booked since last May, and then I couldn't think of anything, and then this one's now like literally flying at me. I was just like, oh my goodness, this is all happening.
I think best idea I've got for you: girls' trip, Disneyland, Christmas.
Ooh. Oh, do you know what? One of our table mates on the cruise, they were from France, and it was their first cruise, and it was another guy and a girl, like similar ages to us, who had no kid. And she has an annual pass to Paris, Disneyland Paris, and she goes like twice a month. And she's like, if you ever come over, let me know, and like, and I'll meet up in Disneyland Paris with you.
Oh,
I know, that was quite nice. So now we message each other.
That's the best thing about going on a Disney cruise. You immediately have a common bond with everybody on that ship because they're there, because they like Disney.
Yeah, and it's just different, isn't it? Like, and I love the way that they've sat us with adults, and obviously on the later seating one, so we've not had that whole like, why have we not got no kids type thing? Because these are adults our age with no kids.
Perfect stuff. Lovey, where can people find out more about your travels?
I do have a blog, which I'm slowly trying to do a few about the cruise, but I've only done one kind of quick trip run so far, and that's what Becky did blog.com or something. I'll put a link up, and then my Instagram is at what Becky did, and there's quite a few pictures of there, if I'm being honest. It was so pretty, like everything was just pretty. My car was pretty, Key West was pretty, the ship is pretty. Like, it's all very photogenic nowadays, isn't it?
It is, and I will link to all of Becky's lovely links on our show notes, which you can find at disneydreamgirls.com. You can also find anything and everything about us by going to @DisDreamGirls on Twitter or Instagram. You can join in with the chat on our Disney Dream Girls podcast family over on Facebook, where we're just having a nice chat about Disney and about any future plans and asking questions, and it's lovely. It's really good fun. If you want to leave us an iTunes review, hop on over iTunes, click write a review. It definitely warms the cockles of our hearts. And finally, if you want to support the show financially, get a few bits of extras, special audio recorded just for you, things like that. You can visit us patreon.com/Disney Dream Girls. But until our next show, it's goodbye from me.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for having me again.